show them we're doers, we're not dyers. We got that certain something that the others lack. Fight on, you ever-loving bullies. You know we've been behind you from the start. Everyone admires the Philadelphia Flyers. You're number one in everybody's heart.
Aloha and hello out there, everybody. What's going on? This is Miho from the Too Close to Call podcast series, joined as always with my co-host Pags. And this series, for the first time in, what's it been, man, a couple of months, we are getting gritty with it.
Na.
That's it, baby. We are talking Philadelphia Flyers here on this series, and because it's been so gosh darn long, we have a boatload of moves to discuss with you guys today.
Yeah, man, they've been active and taking the stance that whatever we've been doing in the past, it has not been good enough.
Well, Chuck Fletcher
Like
was brought in for the sheer fact that Ron Hextall refused to do anything. So Chucky Chew Trades was like, okay, what did I learn from the guy who lost the job in front of me? You gotta do stuff. All right, if you guys want stuff, I got stuff, okay? I don't know if it's good or bad, but it's stuff, all right? So here we go, Flyers fans. You want action? We got action.
Hey, we got stuff, and you're going to like it or not like it, but we got it.
Yes, we do, man. Let's see here. I'm looking at players added or moves made. We got 5 or 6 names in front of me. And the first one, if we go chronologically, back on June 14th, we traded Radko Gudas for Matt Niskanen. Straight up, man. Matt Niskanen, an older right-handed defenseman. The stats read like his better days are behind him, but won a cup in Washington, a leader in the locker room. What are your thoughts about moving Big Radko, man? He was our most consistent defenseman last year, according to some people.
Well, thank God, because I can't stand him. Ever since the Penguin series 2 years ago in the playoffs, where he single-handedly lost us that Game 6, I can't stand Radko. I'm glad he's gone. Good riddance.
He had a better year last year, but I was kind of with you, man. I was never a big Radko Gudas guy, although his style of play does play in the NHL. You need those guys. It's just sometimes the burly defenseman was just frustrating to watch.
No doubt, man. And I think we're starting to get away from that Broad Street Bullies type play. So, hey, this is the right move for the right team. So hopefully Niskanen can be that leadership that we are desperately needing on the defensive end of the Philadelphia Flyers.
Yeah, I know you're not much of a money guy, but the only concern about Niskanen is his cap hit, I think, is a couple of $1 million higher than Radko. So he ate up some of the cap space that the Flyers had to deal with early on. They came into this offseason with a ton of space, but after all of these moves, now they're pretty close. And Niskanen was one of the first ones where it's like, okay, straight up, not bad. Straight up for $2 million more bucks? Okay, it's a tougher sell. So for the money folks out there, a little bit tougher sell than for people like Pags who are just about the on-ice product.
No doubt. That's all I'm worried about, baby.
That's it, man. The move of the offseason, in my opinion, and I am so thankful to the hockey gods. Now, I understand I'm going to have to look at his name for an extra year when I'm diving into the salary cap, but I will not have to watch Andr MacDonald play hockey in the orange and black again. Oh, baby, finally that deal that, what was it, Holmgren or Hextall gave? Oh, it's done. Thank God.
Well, when June 15th hit and I saw that happen, I felt like a cool wave go through the Philadelphia area, and I figured that was your sigh of relief.
It was everybody releasing their demons at once and the tension and just going, oh, Chuck, you did what Ron wouldn't do. Oh, Chuck, we love you so much now.
Exactly. That was a nice little melody there, buddy.
I couldn't come up with a rhyme for the second one. That shows how artistic I am on the spot there. But, yeah, dude, thank God he's gone. And they continue to revamp the defense with the next move 2 days later, adding Justin Braun, who we traded a second-round pick and a third-round pick for. Now, hockey is kind of in between basketball and football, where third-round picks typically don't make the league, but you will get some second-round guys flirted in there. So it's not football to where these guys are making the team. Why are you giving up these picks? But still, it's a few assets for a guy who I think's on a one-year deal and is a rental and a second or third pair defenseman for $3 to $4 million. So some concern again from the Flyers crowd as to really picks for a one-year guy who's Didn't we just trade that guy for the last guy? Like, what are we doing here, man? What's the thought process?
I am under the boat where I trust the front office, and Chucky Two Trades is this is his map, and he is going to sculpt it the way he wants it. So you got to trust the guy with what he's thinking. And
do you, Pags? The guy who's never won a cup? You got to trust the guy? I don't think so.
Hey,
I think I'm going to talk shit on the guy is what I think I'm going to do here.
Well, you're more the hockey man than me, so you give me the reasoning
why.
Oh,
man. I'm just saying, Chucky Two Trades is doing stuff. Nobody knows if it's better or worse, but it's different. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those where everybody reads and goes, haven't decided if it's better or worse, but it's different. So we'll see. And they made another move. We'll stick to the defensemen here. The two restricted free agents they had were Travis Sanheim and Ivan Provorov. They signed Sanheim to a 2-year contract extension, which is really that bridge deal, meaning he wanted long-term, big money, and the Flyers were like, I don't know if you've deserved it yet. And he's kind of like, that's true. So they came in between 2 years at 3 and change, almost 4 per year. And Ivan Provorov is the last domino there, and they're saying that contract may take some time because that one is probably going to be long and in big numbers. So that leaves their current pairings with Provorov and Sanheim as your first unit. You got Ghost and Braun as your second unit, and Hag and Niskanen as your third unit, or Sam Moran sprinkled in there as your seventh guy. And I don't know, Pags, how much of it really matters, because you said I'm more of a hockey guy than you, and I don't even know this answer, but all 3 pairings are now right-left combinations. And I think that's something that Chuck really put a priority on, because puck movement in our own defensive zone has been a problem for this team the past couple of years.
Yeah, for sure. And the whole thing is we got this veteran defensive crew behind a young goalie. So hopefully this all pans out to where Carter Hart is our guy, and we can ride him as long as this defensive group cannot give up cheap fucking goals.
Yeah, that's going to be the key, and I think he is tailoring the defense to that, is a little bit more stay-at-home, safer, puck moving. We got the goalie. Let's not give up huge quality chances. Let's sprinkle some age in here and see what we can do. But the biggest move of the offseason so far, and the one where people are kind of like, I understand it, but I'm not a huge fan, is the Kevin Hayes signing. They had traded for his rights earlier this offseason with, again, another draft pick. Doesn't matter. I'm not worried about the draft pick, whether they signed him or not. But they end up giving him $7 million a year for 7 years. I think it was 7 years, $50 million total, so just over $70 a year. And that seems awfully high for a guy who's putting in right around 20 goals. And I really think Mr. Hayes took advantage of right time, right place, because when you really look at the market for a top 6 forward, and more so a top 6 center, he was one of 2 to 3 guys, and the other guys were going to make over that $7 million mark. So if you wanted an upgrade, that was what it was going to cost you.
I don't know, man. It just seems too long for me. I feel like these hockey contracts never play out the way an NBA contract or an NFL contract is, and these guys become long in the tooth, and he just diminishes as he goes. That's the vibe I'm getting from it.
It is tricky because the talk was he wanted to go back to New York, but now that the Flyers hired AV as a coach, that's who he played with originally in New York. So they do have that relationship where you're hoping he can bring the best out of Mr. Hayes, because for $7 million, man, if you're pumping in 20 goals and you're not a huge assist playmaking driver, that's going to be an overpay. If you think about it, Van Riemsdyk was our biggest signing last year, and I think he was 5 and 5.5 or 6 and 5.5. Maybe it was 7, but it wasn't $7 million a year. And that's where I'm going, is this guy $1.5 million better than that other guy who scores 30 a year?
Yeah, that's the tricky thing, man. These hockey contracts are insane, the amount of years they get on them. So hopefully it pans out, but I just have a bad feeling about it.
The thing, like we mentioned, is you tailor him now into your second center. You got Couturier, Giroux, Konechny on the first line. They most likely will re-sign Konechny, who's a restricted free agent, but it seems like that will get done eventually. And now you slide Mr. Hayes into the second unit here with Voracek and Van Riemsdyk, and all of a sudden you got a pretty solid top 6. And that leaves the only need currently for the Flyers, and the problem is the cap space of a third-line right winger, because right now you have Nolan Patrick sliding from the 2C to the 3C, and that's where he performed a lot better last year when they moved him down. They just didn't have anybody to take those minutes from him, and now it's, okay, who's going to play the wing? And the one prospect that really lit it up at developmental camp this past week and is kind of jumping off the page statistically is Morgan Frost. Now, he's a center as well, so the problem becomes which one of these centers are we going to move to wing who's never played there before? But that may be a good problem to have if you can't find a wing out there for cheap that's going to improve you as much as the combination of Frost and Patrick.
Interesting. I think the Patrick move to 30 is actually a very good thing for us. Like you said, he performed exuberantly better at that position. So the way I look at it right now, man, is we're doing something different, and what we've been doing for the last 5-10 years hasn't worked. This team has been non-existent when it comes to playoff time, and if they do make it, it's an early exit. So whatever we could do to change it up, that's what I want to happen.
And we have the goalie in place to hopefully make that happen, and we re-signed Brian Elliot back for a year to back up Carter Hart. So that trade for Cam Talbot, I don't know what the hell that was, because apparently we didn't want to re-sign him anyway. Let's hope there's not a problem there when it comes to playing time with Carter Hart and Elliot. But if you did look, Pags, the schedule was released, and the Flyers actually have 17 back-to-backs. So at the very least, that could be 17 starts for Elliott, which puts Carter Hart all the way down at 65 already. And if that's where you're looking, 55, 60, you're getting Elliott on back-to-backs and maybe 5 other games, and you're going, 60 and 25 to get to your 82.
Yeah, hey, and we don't have to see Brittle Bones, Glass House, Michael Neuwirth anymore. So
yeah, he's finally gone. He's gone. So the NHL, like the NBA, just throws all their shit together into a couple of weeks span here because we got the draft to talk about here too, man. I don't get it. It's crazy. And the Flyers came in with the 11th pick. The rumors had them looking more on defense because, as we mentioned, all the prospects are here.
Yeah.
Who knows what the hell's going on? I just realized I didn't even mention Felipe Myers on defense before. So we got too many defensemen. Jesus Christ, unbelievable. But we drafted the guy in the first round, Cam York. We traded down from 11 to 14, picked up a second rounder that we had shipped out in one of those earlier trades. So wheeling and dealing Chucky 2 trades continues to just fucking make his presence felt.
Yeah, and he's more of an offensively minded defenseman, so hopefully he can put some pucks in the net for us. I feel like you draft these guys and you don't see them for years to come. So it's going to be interesting to see when we see Cam York.
Oh, well, he will be enrolling at the University of Michigan this fall as a freshman to play some hockey for them. But the Twittersphere, Pags, if you weren't following along live to the NHL draft, there was a gentleman by the name of Cole Caulfield who scored 72 goals for the USA national team. It was like the most goals ever. However, he's a small dude, like 5'6", 5'7". And he was one of those guys who fell, and there were multiple people that, you got to take this guy. We got to score goals. We need offense. You got to take him. You got to take him. Then they traded down to 14. He was still on the clock at 14, I think. And they didn't take him again. They take this defensive guy, and everybody's going, okay, well, offense is never bad, and this guy's the best pure goal scorer in the draft, predicted top 5, and here we are passing on him twice. So the pre-notion of going defense no matter what may not have been the move there the way the board fell.
The guy reminded me of like a Marchand, short dude that's going to put the puck in the net, Danny Briere-esque. So would have liked to seen him in the orange and black sweater, but hey, they had different thought process, I guess.
Yeah, and the continued evolution of the draft, I am reading here that at 34, the pick they got from moving down, they took a kid by the name of Bobby Brink. That's a great hockey name, first of all. That's good stuff right there. Cam York's pretty good, too. So good hockey names in the first 2 rounds. But Bobby Brink was a first-round prospect who fell to them in the second round, and they jumped all over them. And the feedback is the best combination of defenseman and forward between York and Brink was the top duo value-wise that you were going to get at those picks. Basically saying that if they took Caulfield at 11 or 14, the defensemen that were available at 34, the combination of those 2 picks wouldn't have been as strong as ultimately what they got. So it comes back to the old debate of, do you take quantity over quality. You know, the top guy may have been better, but the combination of two would have been worse. What are your thoughts there around that thought process?
Well, I think that these drafts, I think you do look for a better combination than just a flat-out one player's better than the other. For the way the Flyers are built and rebuilding as they go, I think this is the better play. I read about Bobby Brink that he's just a flat-out scorer. He's not the fastest or the biggest, but the dude can put the puck in the net, and that's what the Flyers are going to need from years to come.
What's it called when your first name and last name start with the same letter? What's the word for that? Not acronym or... Anagram, whatever the hell it's called, man. Apparently had a quota to meet because throughout the draft they took Bobby Brink, Mason Millman, Roddy Ross, and Bryce Brodzinski. So 7 picks, I think 5 of them had double names like that.
That's great. It's an alliteration. That's the word.
Yeah, alliteration. There's what we're talking about. But thanks for listening as always, guys. Things have been crazy here in the Flyers world. We'd love to hear from you guys on your thought about the move, and we now have the ability to do that. You guys can call us on our hotline voicemail. It's the Too Close to Call hotline. I mean, who doesn't like a good hotline call? I know when that hotline bling. The number there is 484-238-0735. Too Close to Call, 484-238-0735. Hit it up, leave a voicemail. Let us know what you guys are thinking about Chucky 2 Trades' moves. Follow us on the social media at Too Close to Call Cast, the number 2 both times. We'd love to hear from you. Make this an interactive pod, and we can wallow in the misery together.
Hey, we're looking for instant reactions, too. Once this Flyers season starts rolling and they lose on a last-second goal or somebody gets a stupid freaking penalty, that's when we want you calling and bitching about it.
That's right. Call in. Let us know your thoughts. Until then, we'll talk to you guys next week when we'll be getting gritty with it.
Later, guys.
Peace.
Let's go, you Philadelphia Flyers. Let's go, you orange and black. Show them we're doers, we're not dyers. We got that certain something